Good morning, friends. Welcome to the 25th edition of the Monday Morning Quiz, dated the 16th May 2022. The topic for today's quiz is going to be related to laboratory quality. We did receive a few feedback from people who work in testing and calibration laboratory to include something related to laboratory also in the quiz. And in view of that, we thought that we will have the 25th edition focused on things to do with accreditation, the laboratory accreditation, and relevant to the ISO 17025 standards. So those are the three questions that you'll have in this quiz. So let me move on to the next slide to show you the first question of MMQ-25. Okay, the first question on the quiz MMQ-25 relevant to laboratory standards and that are followed for testing and calibration laboratory. So the first question is, you would have probably listened to these two statements quite often, right? Somebody referring to that this is an ISO 9000 certified organization. And you would also receive somebody saying that this is an enable accredited laboratory. So the first question, which is going to be a descriptive answer question, so probably 2-3 lines, you probably need to put it on the Google form. What is the difference between the words certification and accreditation? So that's the first question of this MMQ-25. Okay, which is relevant to laboratory. So we always refer as an organization as ISO 9000 certified organization. When it comes to laboratory, we say it is an enable accredited laboratory. So what's the difference between the words certification and accreditation is the first question. Very, very important, to know. In fact, any quality professional, especially who is attached to testing and calibration laboratory, I think should understand this difference, and that's why that becomes pretty straightforward, of course, but still, a more clear understanding of these two words are very important. So that's the first question. Question number 2. Well, most of you are familiar with the standards that are used used by various accredited laboratories is the standard ISO IEC 17025. So the next two questions, question number 2 and 3 will be, you need to refer to the standard to answer the question, right? So the question number 2 talks about an observation made by an assessor while auditing a laboratory. So during the audit trail, the lab personnel took nearly 4 hours to get all the relevant records pertaining to a test conducted 3 months ago. So this is an observation that was, noted by the assessor. So the question is, under which clause of the ISO IEC 17025, this is referred as a non-conformance. That's what is. So you need to, take the role of an internal auditor. An internal, people do internal audits, and some of the labs are in fact enable accredited. So you probably have to look at those standards and then let us know under which clause that this observation made by the assessor falls referred as a non-conformance. That is question number 2. Moving on to question number 3, very similar status that you need to refer to the standard ISO IEC 17025. And this is the observation that was made by the assessor. No record of intermediate checks on equipments between calibration, right? So that's the observation that's made by the assessor. Okay, sometimes even an IATF auditor also makes such assessment, but in this question, we are referring to the ISO IEC 17025. So you need to refer to the standard and let us know under which clause number that this particular observation can be referred as a non-conformance. So those are the questions more relevant to laboratory personnel, of course. But I think, if you're looking at total quality, then laboratory also plays a major role. And some basic understanding of the systems and procedures that are used needs to be well understood by all the stakeholders, and that is why when this request of a question on related to laboratory came up, we thought we'll pick up this, and then we will have it as one of the MMQ editions. So that's how this quiz is. So please use a Google form and then fill in the answers. Question number 1, it's a descriptive answer. Whereas question number 2 and 3, you will have to just mention the clause number that is more appropriate, when you are looking at this non-conformance. So you refer to the ISO IEC 17025 standard and look at under which clause number you will be, this particular observation can be, recorded as a non-conformance. So moving on to the next part of this episode is where we talk about the last edition of MMQ-24. The questions were on kappa study. So question number 1 was, we gave you this table and asked to calculate the repeatability kappa for Appraiser Ramesh. Well, most of you got this correctly. So the answer is 0.62. So that's the repeatability kappa. Of course, not adequate with respect to the requirements mentioned by the AIG MSA manual, because a kappa of greater than 0.75 is what is generally considered as acceptable. So certainly needs improvement. So 0.62 is the repeatability kappa of Ramesh. So that's the answer for question number 1. For question number 2, so we gave two, tables here, the repeatability kappa of Ramesh and the repeatability kappa of Suresh needs to be calculated, and you also probably need to confirm who is more consistent, right? So using the same logic, could get a good number of responses of calculation of repeatability kappa. Well, it was very obvious. I think repeatability kappa for Ramesh was only 0.04, whereas repeatability kappa of Suresh was 0.8. So Suresh was declared more consistent appraiser for visual inspection, right? Because 0.8, looks to be a very substantial agreement within himself. So the repeatability kappa of Suresh is 0.8, so he is more consistent as compared with Ramesh. The third question was a tricky question. We gave the complete kappa table with the kappa value also mentioned. So there were two appraisers, Raj and Dev. So so you have the observed agreements, the expected agreements, and also the kappa value mentioned in the table. So the kappa value of Raj was 0.8 and the kappa value of Dev was 0.56. So Raj was actually declared more consistent, right? But the question was, this is not valid statistically. Why was a question? Very few responses, correct responses for the question. It says the most important point that one of the statistical conditions that we need to have is all the expected count values which are mentioned in this table. 4.48, 11.52. 9.52, 24.48 for Raj, 0.48, 5.52, 3.52, 40.48 for Dev. So these are the expected count cells. Now all the values in these cells to be greater than 5 is the statistical condition. So whenever we do, for those who are familiar with chi-square, I think you'll probably noted that. So the expected count values in all these expected count cell values should be greater than 5. Then only the kappa values are are validated, they are more reliable. So because we don't have that condition met here, so it is not valid statistically. And if you probably recollect that this is one of the reasons why in the MSA manual they say pick up 50 parts, 25 good, 25 bad. So the mix of good and bad, and then have different degrees of good and bad. So all these are conditions mentioned to ensure that your expected count cell values are generally greater than 5, and which means then the kappa values that you get out of such tables are reliable. So in this case, although it appears that Raj was more consistent, but this test is not valid statistically is the answer. So all expected count values to be greater than 5 in this condition is a statistical condition when we calculate kappa. Since you don't have that on a few occasions in this particular example, so this is not statistically valid. So that's the answer for question 3. And the 3 gentlemen who got all the 3 questions correctly are Mr. B. Tennarasu, lead TQM at Ashok Leyland, Chennai. Mr. Jagdish, quality manager, Praxar, Coimbatore. Of course, a veteran of MMQ, I would say. This guy is consistently, participating and also, winning most of the times. And Mr. A. Narayanamurthy, assistant manager, the ZF Group, Mahindra World City, Chennai. Again, I think this is a first-time winner. I think congratulations to all the 3, and especially to Jagdish. And of course, welcome Mr. Tennarasu and Narayanamurthy to the Winners Club of MMQ. So with this, we come to the end of this episode. Before we, sign off, I thought I'll make this announcement. So the team, the back office team, and myself, we sat together and we have decided to get all the MMQ up to 25. This 25 editions in the form of a book. So and we will probably call this a season 1 of the Monday morning quiz. So we will probably, after MMQ 25, I mean the results are out next week on the 23rd of May 2022, we declare results of MMQ 25. And with those, all the 25 quizzes, we probably will be publishing it as a book, which will have the questions, the explanations, and also the winners and all that in that book. And we'll take a break. So MMQ season 1 will be over with this. So we'll take a break. And we'll invite all those who participated in the 25 editions of MMQ for a get-together in the month of June. So in June, we plan to invite all the participants, all those who responded to the various MMQ quizzes that we conducted the last 1 year. Last May we started. It's been a very exciting 1 year. I mean, it's gone so soon. Looks like the 25 editions. Interesting participants, interesting winners across. So we will give you 2 weeks notice before. So the dates and the chief guest and all that is being finalized. So once we have all that ready, probably by next week, we will announce it, and then we will inform all the participants. You will receive an email invitation to attend to this function, which will happen in Chennai. So you could, we'll invite you for that. And during that function, the winners will be felicitated. And it has been exclusive only for those who participate. So for those who want to attend to that, get together and be a part of MMQ, here's your last chance in season 1. Of course, MMQ will be back with the second season, but we thought we'll take a small break, after 25 editions, and then we will release it as a book and then start season 2 sometime later. So for those who wanted to get into this movement of Monday morning quiz, here's your last chance to attempt, and as always, the whole idea is not about just winning, but to learn that and attempt and be there for the get together along with your, fellow quizzers, and also, enjoy that evening by appreciating those who did exceedingly well in the first season of this Monday morning quiz. So with this announcement, so a lot of, stay tuned on my LinkedIn page to get updates. Of course, those who have attended the quiz, you'll also get an email invite once the date and the agenda, everything is finalized. You get an email invite, and, you can attend that function. So with this announcement, let me sign off for today. So all the very best. Look forward to your responses for MMQ 25. And next Monday, we will declare the winners and then also the announcement of the get together. Thank you. Bye for now. This is Nanda signing off for the Monday morning quiz. Thanks.